Hi, I'm Liz from Night Owl Crafts Australia, and this is my able assistant Tosh. Today we're going to be looking at making soap. The mixtures have come to roughly the same temperature, so we will add the lye mixture to the oil. At this point it is very helpful to have a stick blender to blend the two together once you've added them. Try not to splash when the lye goes into the oil. Once the lye hits the oil, it will start to look a little bit opaque. You give it a stir around, and then we will start using the stick blender to emulsify the solution. You do want to avoid splashing yourself with the mixture, so just be careful with the stick blender. Stirring and blending until we reach what is called trace, which is where you can leave a mark in the mixture of where you're moving the stick blender. At this point we haven't reached trace, as it's not leaving any mark behind, so we'll keep at it. It's almost there, as it is getting quite thick at this point in time, almost leaving a little trace behind, but we'll give it a fraction more time. At this point now you can see that as I move the stick blender through the solution, it's leaving a definite trace behind of where the stick blender has been. So we have reached trace at this point in time. If you were doing cold process soap, you would stop at this point, add any fragrances and colours that you wanted, stir them through, and then pour the mixture into your moulds. If you're doing hot process soap, you would leave the mixture in the slow cooker set on low and heat it, checking every 15 minutes. What you will be looking for is for the edges of the mixture to start becoming clear. The centre may become quite hard. If that happens, just chop it up and stir it all through. Gradually, over time, the whole mixture will change from this vanilla pudding looking mixture into something that is got much more clear components through it. But we'll show you that as it progresses. So at this point I've just cleaned off the blender. Make sure that you scrape down the edges of the slow cooker so that all the soap is together at the bottom in contact with the heat. And we will continue to check this now at every 15-minute intervals and watch as it gradually changes. Hot process soap will be ready to use pretty much immediately after we finish cooking it and mould it, whereas cold press soap takes 6 weeks before the lye solution fully converts the oils into soap. So cold process soap before 6 weeks will still be fairly caustic, and you don't want to be using it at that point. Hot process soap, you're cooking or accelerating the process of the lye converting the oil into soap, and hence after it's finished cooking it should no longer be caustic in nature, and we can test that with a solution that I will show you. Okay, we're checking it after about 15 minutes and we're getting quite a lot of clear, and it's become a lot more liquid than when we last checked it. As you can see, it's looking more like applesauce at this point in time. So we're well on the way to it being ready. It will still need a little bit more cooking time. There are a couple of ways you can check to see if it is done, one of which is called the taste test, where you put a little bit on your tongue, and if you get a zap or a sting from it, it means it's still very caustic and you need to continue cooking it for longer. A less painful way of testing is to use this solution, which is Faline indicator solution, which you can get from a lot of pool shops or online or from specialty chemists. And this is a solution which, when applied to a portion of soap, will turn pink if it is still caustic. So we may just try a little bit at this point in time and see what it shows us. What we're aiming for is a solution that is no longer caustic. So I will get a little bit and put it on some paper toweling. And we will apply some of the solution to it and see what it shows. Whoa, as you can see, very pink. So that is telling us that we still need some more cooking time. When it is done, you will not get that pink solution. Right, we've done a number of tests on this, and as you can see, from going from a very bright pink, we've come down to a slightly lighter pink. We'll now test our last sample, and as you can see, it's not reacting at all. So that indicates that at this point in time, the mixture has reached the stage of being ready to fragrance, colour, have additives and mould. To the soap mixture, we can add a powdered white substance called titanium dioxide, which is a whitening agent. If you are wanting white soap, this is the great way to do it. Or you can whiten the soap in order to add other colours and have the other colours show up as a more natural colour. In go the fragrances. And a little bit of colouring. You could split the mixture into two and have one white and one green and then mix them together, leading to a swirl pattern in your soap. So I'll now place the soap into the moulds. Once the moulds are filled, you'll need to tap them down to remove or minimise the chance of air pockets forming in the soap. The quantity of soap made in this batch is enough to fill 8 of these smaller moulds plus one loaf mould. And I'll just give them a bit of a shake down. And fill them a bit fuller. So we've just finished filling these moulds. As the mixture cools slightly, you can just pat them down, smooth the surface off. And we'll swap over to the loaf mould to fill the rest of the soap. As it cools, it will harden. You can add all sorts of things to your soap to make it more interesting. My green colour's faded somewhat, but you can add coloured micas, coloured clays, all sorts of different things. On the top you can put dried flowers, dried herbs. So use your imagination and make them more interesting. As I said before, you can colour the batch into different lots, different colours, and then swirl the colours through. Or you can just make what I'm doing today, which is a fairly utilitarian batch of nice smelling soap for personal use. So anything residual in the slow cooker I will roll into a ball and just use that for hand soap at the basin. So I'll leave these to sit and they will get hard as they cool before trying to unmould the individual moulds and unmould and slice up the loaf mould. We'll just tap it down to make sure that all the base is filled with soap mix and there's no air bubbles. So come tomorrow morning, this can be unmoulded, and then with a metal slicer or a knife or a piece of wire, you can cut this into individual bars. So this is what the soap will look like when you unmould it from the individual moulds. However, you can choose a mould of any shape of your preference. And as mentioned before, the coconut oil and olive oil makes a nice lathery soap bar, and the fragrance is rather nice as well. You can put it in your linen cupboard or in your lingerie drawer to help scent your underwear or linen until such time as you want to use it. So the ingredients will be listed in the description below. This has been another video from Night Owl Crafts Australia. Please look forward to up and coming videos soon to be made, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.